Supporters from all over the state met at the Newcastle Workers' Club, travelling from Bega, Taree, Dubbo, Lismore and Sydney. There are more than 120 groups in New South Wales associated with the People for Nuclear Disarmament, not to be confused with the Nuclear Disarmament Party. The main purpose of the weekend conference is to discuss statewide action that will bring some results. And according to co-convener of Newcastle's P&D, Richard Fletcher, support for the group is growing.
It's growing very quickly actually, because P&D is composed of people in each community who are so worried about nuclear war that they figure they've got to do something.
Different groups have concentrated on different aspects. What has the Newcastle P&D concentrated on?
Well, the Newcastle group's been focused on what would happen, what would really happen, if a nuclear bomb hit Newcastle. We distributed a pamphlet which was written by medical students at the university, and we've distributed 3,000 of those, told them to people around Newcastle, which outlines what would really happen, like the devastation that would happen.
Has the recent split in the Nuclear Disarmament Party affected your group?
Well, it's affected it to the extent that people confuse the Nuclear Disarmament Party with the whole peace movement, and the whole peace movement is a lot bigger than the Nuclear Disarmament Party. This organisation, People for Nuclear Disarmament, for example, hasn't had any split, hasn't had any deep divisions or conflicts. It's just been growing year after year. And so it hasn't been affected by the split in the Nuclear Disarmament Party, except that everybody confuses the two.
One of the most interesting points in today's matches was the return to the field of former country, Newcastle and West captain David Howell, in the unfamiliar red and white at number 8. Howell, after just one warm-up game after a season and a half out of the football, was installed this week as the captain of the side, in an attempt to get South's campaign back on the rails after a promising start to 1985 that's fallen away.
For those parents whose children have a Cabbage Patch doll, the purchases are not going to end there. Just released are the preemies, the Cabbage Patch babies whose cabbage leaves opened early. Soon to be released are the older Cabbage Patch dolls. They have teeth. And from the 1st of August you'll be able to buy the Koosas, the pets for Cabbage Patch dolls. For Trivial Pursuit addicts, on the 1st of November, 5 new packs of questions will be added to the list. For the young ones, there's the Flower Fairies. They were chosen as Toy of the Year last year in England. There were model planes, cars and boats. And for those interested in radio-controlled models, the range of Shinsai products from Singapore. The fair has been organised by Newcastle firm R.J. Wood. Manager Charles Pedersen says that the public, though, will be paying more for toys this year.
Yes, you'll find the consumers will be paying approximately 25% more on all imported toys. The way the Australian dollar has deteriorated in relation to the US dollar, you'll find that that'll happen. Particularly merchandise coming out of England, the Matchbox range, the preschool range.
For the first time on display for retailers in Newcastle is the range from Timby Toys. These are wooden toys manufactured by a sheltered workshop in Stockton. Around 70 people are involved in the design and manufacturing of the range of 26 toys.
Well, Timby Toys is made by intellectually handicapped people. Intellectually handicapped people that are very special to us because they're people that are usually not acceptable to other forms of work, and we actually train people to do all these sorts of things, make the products. They also are involved in the design of them. They're also involved in the manufacture, the marketing, and we all get together as a team and we try to be one big happy family.
When we saw 2,000 collectors go out on a rainy Sunday to work for the Salvation Army, we felt NBN should join with the community in supporting the Red Shield appeal. That was why NBN's board today decided to add a donation of $5,000 to the total of $410,000, which the Red Shield appeal has so far raised in the Hunter region. Voting support of the William IV Bicentennial project to build a replica paddle steamer at Raymond Terrace, NBN's board said it felt the innovative project, which got underway last month, has tremendous potential, particularly in stimulating tourism. The third appeal to win NBN's support is the Newcastle Medical Faculty's bid to further the community medicine approach pioneered by the late Professor Madison.
Some of our community-oriented projects are things dealing with old age, dealing with problems of employment and unemployment, problems of development of children and particularly adolescents. And as far as our teaching program goes, we have a number of new ideas in teaching which we're trying to put into effect, and those take quite a lot of extra effort compared with the normal way of teaching.
Was the board looking for projects like this with particular community involvement in making these grants?
Yes, that's right. The board is looking, and we're looking at projects in the community worthwhile of support, rather than just do the same thing year after year. And we were very pleased to come across the medical school because it's known all around the world what they're doing in Newcastle here. It's quite amazing, and it needs support. And we as a board are very pleased to get behind it because it's part of our community. It's part that Newcastle can be proud of, I think, to have the medical school here and the work they're doing in the community. So we hope as a board that other people might follow, other institutions, and support this very worthwhile cause, Jim.
The group met today with advisors from Alcan and the Northern Miners Association to talk about which direction the company will head. The participants must sell $400 in shares, obtain the raw materials, make the product, as well as marketing it and selling it. And as the coordinator of the program, Judy Miller, explains, these young people aren't in it for the money.
They'll be paid 25 cents an hour as a small wage, plus a 10% sales commission on everything they sell. But so the incentive is not there to earn money through the scheme at first.
Most of the participants have never had a job, and according to Ms Miller, the 17-week program will equip them with the skills they need to get one.
Or personnel, or promotion, or production.
According to Ms Miller, the 17-week program will equip them with the skills they need.
Friends and family from 4 generations turned up at the Open Nursing Home for today's festivities, congratulating Jessie Guest on being the home's first centenarian. At 100 years of age, she has reared 4 sons, 11 grandchildren, 13 great-grandchildren and 3 great-great-grandchildren. As well as the official toast, telegrams from the local member, the Governor-General, the Queen and the Australian Prime Minister were received, congratulating Jessie on her achievement.
Hazel and I offer you our personal and sincere congratulations on the great occasion of your 100th birthday. Bob Hawke, Prime Minister.
Cecil Guest believes that his mother's long life can be attributed to healthy living and a strong personality.
Well, she'd been a very good mum, and she'd been very loquacious. She wasn't one of the silent achievers like VHP. She'd always been a loquacious one. And she'd always stuck up for her own way. And she'd bred us too. And I think we're okay.
Coastal search and rescue resources has been highlighted in the past few days. 4 yachts have been in trouble in the high seas that pounded the New South Wales coast this week. The National Safety Council has been chosen by the Department of Aviation to conduct the training of commercial pilots in search and rescue techniques. It's equipped a coach as a mobile classroom, complete with audio-visual equipment. 5 pilots from Aero Pelican, 4 from the Civil Aviation Training Academy at Cessnock, 2 from Rebel Air and 1 from Norfolk Island Airlines started their 3-day course today.
In a search they're required to fly specialised patterns, using special navigation aids if they're available, flying special circuits to drop supplies, things like that that aren't normally taught in normal pilot programs.
13 locations from Cairns in Queensland to Hobart in Tasmania have been chosen. Aero Pelican at Belmont will be the local search and rescue base.
If we know that Aero Pelican has planes and personnel available and they've been trained in search and rescue techniques, then they can be on the spot a lot quicker than perhaps sending a plane from Sydney.
The new Cold Chain Consultative Council is unique in Australia, if not the world, and its 12 members include representatives of all unions, employers and government bodies involved in the Hunter's billion-dollar coal industry. They've come together as an early alert system to identify problems in the coal chain from mining to export, and according to inaugural Chairman Jack Wilcox, it's designed to ensure that industrial problems are resolved quickly and before they sever any of the very important links in the chain. He says the reconstitution of the Joint Coal Board last year laid the groundwork for the new council, and he expects it to be crucial in resolving issues such as the Mount Thorley and SRA crewing disputes much quicker.
Well, in the past, a lot of the industrial situations that have developed, particularly in this region, have started from by basically simple problems which have exacerbated with a lack of understanding between different people in different parts of the coal chain, from the mining area to transport to the port area. And we believe that a committee such as this, which has all of the participants in the whole coal chain represented, can identify problems and crystallise them, and just by doing that, we believe that half of the problems will go away.
Not only was the Steel City Cup lost today, but also the Rosebud's chances of remaining in the NSL, with the team now firmly at the bottom of the ladder. A crowd of 1,400 was on hand to watch the match, and while most were disappointed with the result, they were entertained with some class football. Wollongong scored first in the 23rd minute. The Rosebuds equalised through Joe Sinkowski 28 minutes later and went to the break with their hopes well and truly alive. These were to be dashed in the 75th and 81st minutes, however, with fine goals from a very coordinated Wollongong attack, which sealed not only the game but also the Steel City Cup and the Rosebuds' possible relegation from the NSL next season.
It's easy to say the Falcons didn't play well, but when you bring the final score to mind, it's obvious they didn't play all that badly. Beaten 3 points by the two-times premiers. Despite denials by coach Dave Ankeny, it seemed as though the Falcons failed to up the pace and get Canberra out of that measured stride of theirs. The Cannons play a superbly organised game, but by Newcastle style, it's at a plod. Mike Johnson thankfully was in superb touch, and Scott Horrell played brilliantly most of the time in the middle with the big men. They were easily the pick. Amazingly, the home side's big gun Ian Davies didn't fire. Looking at the score by quarters tells the story. Always chasing, never quite catching. Meanwhile, the Park Royal Hunters put in one of their best performances of the year to hold down the young, enthusiastic budding champions from the Institute in Canberra. At one stage, it appeared as though the youth of the visitors would prove supreme. They just ran and ran. But the American imports leading the way with the home side got home 119 to 117. Buster Matheny got 35 points. The Iceman, Greg Island, one of his good games, 3 3-pointers in the first quarter, got 26 all told, and Brendan Ryan got 20 points.
Viscount Bollinger opened the Hunter Valley Wine and Food Expo 85 at the Newcastle Workers Club last night. Today he was the guest at the Carrington House restaurant for a champagne breakfast, where visitors were invited to sample 2 of his new famous Bollinger champagnes. Paul Garman, the owner and manager of Carrington House, member of the newly formed Hunter Valley Restaurant Association, says such visits will help promote Hunter Valley wines overseas.
We have a problem in Newcastle that basically it is ignored, and when I say Newcastle I mean the whole of the Hunter Valley. It's ignored in any promotion by these major people coming to Australia. So as a major feat to get him here for the day, it was important to actually show that he's welcome and to do more than just invite him for a dinner.
Meanwhile, the Wine and Food Expo continues at the Newcastle Workers Club this week, where you can also enjoy the produce of 33 local wineries.
Matara has experienced mixed fortunes since it was first held in 1960. A low-key festival was held last year and the money saved employed a full-time administrator. This year, Matara celebrates its 25th anniversary during the first 2 weeks of September. A special reception was held in City Hall today to announce that Newcastle City Council and the Greater Newcastle Building Society are co-patrons, each donating $25,000. BHP has also donated $25,000 for a special centenary picnic in King Edward Park.
What it means is that we'll see a number of larger and better budgeted and well-planned events each of the 3 Sundays. We have some major family spectacular events. We'll be saying more about those in the next month, but I think people will see a major change there.
What's the idea of Matara in your mind? What's the concept of this festival for Newcastle?
To me, it's to celebrate life in Newcastle. Not to pretend there are not bad things, but to celebrate what's good about living in Newcastle. It's a celebration of life in the city.
These sorts of things cost money.
They do cost money, but I think that they have a return to the city in terms of a straight-out economic return in terms of bringing life back to the city, and a human return in terms of people appreciating the town in which they live.
Most of the money will be used for upgrading facilities for coal and wheat wagons with an aim to increase our competitiveness in the world market. More money will be spent on constructing new workshops at Broadmeadow. The diesel servicing sheds in Newcastle East are to be relocated to Broadmeadow at a cost of $8 million to make way for the harbour foreshore beautification project. $14 million will be spent on new locomotive servicing facilities at Port Waratah, and $3.4 million has been put aside to shift the Merriweather Street vehicle depot to Port Waratah.
We're shifting 500,000 tonne of coal every week to the port here, and of course we've got the wheat and the general freight, and we've just opened the railway line to Golgong. Now, to provide that sort of level of business over the next 5 years, we'd like to do it this year, but over the next 5 years we'll be spending in the vicinity of $50 million to rebuild and upgrade all of our servicing facilities to make sure we can provide the locomotives and the wagons to haul that business.
The tax office has been operating since the beginning of the month. In its first week it took 4,000 inquiries and has already started processing refund checks. At this stage, 450 people are employed in the 2 offices, split between the old Wings building and the Hunter Mall chambers. By next year, another 150 people will be employed, with the office eventually reaching a full strength of 800. The Newcastle office is seen as the prototype in the Taxation Department's plans to decentralise its operations. Treasurer Paul Keating today paid tribute to former Mayor Alderman Cummings, Charlie Jones, the Hunter Development Board, the Chamber of Commerce and local politicians for the role they played in making the office a reality. After unveiling the official park, Mr Keating outlined the economic benefits the tax office will bring the region.
It will have, of course, considerable beneficial economic impact. The office is renting extensive office space, which we are now occupying right in the centre of the city, accommodating at first 450 people, then 600 and then ultimately 800. In simple terms, there are many additional jobs and hence incomes being added to the Newcastle economy to be spent here on housing, food, clothing and all the other items that people buy. In addition, the office itself will be spending money on a range of items needed for its operation. That is another customer for local enterprise. So you see that if the office did no more than bring in people from other regions, there would be an economic impact that would in turn generate more jobs in the area.